The Rebel Capitalist Show.
What are your top, I would say, three countries right now for people who think like nomad capitalists or rebel capitalists?
I've said for some time, Eastern Europe is a bit of a cultural adjustment if you're coming from Canada, but I've got a lot of people who are moving here because they like, whether it's Serbia, whether it's Montenegro. Georgia was a bit more European focused. I think they've kind of backed off a lot of that. Armenia was always decent. I mean, these are countries that maybe have less Western outlooks. They're countries that have seen madness. They're countries that don't want to go back there. People push back. That's been good. Nicaragua's been pretty popular. That's definitely an adjustment. You know, you can live on the beach down there. El Salvador obviously is attracting a lot of people in the Bitcoin community. I think, Colombia is maybe relatively good. But I think you want people who have seen something before, people who aren't afraid, people who are tough. And by the way, I've been listening for the last 2 weeks just to a peaceful protest outside of where we work. And nobody's getting in the way of this thing. So I don't know, which is the more democratic and free country, Serbia or Canada? It's a question you wouldn't have asked not that many years ago.
Are they protesting the mandates?
What mandates? They are protesting the government in general.
Well, I like them already.
Yeah.
And now I know you talk a lot about Mexico, and I get a lot of people on the comments of my YouTube videos and whatnot that ask about Mexico. And I know it's not just it's not a monolith. So what's your view on Mexico, and what areas should people look at based on what their priorities are? Like, I know some people, they love the beach, so maybe that's Playa de Carmen, where other people, they like more of a metropolitan type area. Maybe that's Mexico City.
Yeah. I think Puerto Vallarta's gained a lot of steam recently. That seems to be a very interesting place. I'm not a big beach guy. We've done conferences in Cancun, Playa del Carmen. I was in Tulum. I was greatly disappointed by Tulum, quite frankly. Playa del Carmen, I think, had some problems. That whole area has seen some problems. If you like a smaller environment, I think Merida is one of the safest places in Mexico. But Puerto Vallarta has been coming up. Mexico City, I think there's plenty of safe areas. I mean, I don't think you even have to be in an urban environment. Go to Lomas, for example. You've got beautiful kind of sprawling homes there. I did not like Guadalajara as much. I know some retirees like the area down by Lake Chapala. That's become popular. So you've got so many areas. San Miguel de Allende is pretty popular for expats. Again, mostly older, but there's some younger people going there. So, I mean, the thing about Mexico is I think you're never done with Mexico, right? I mean, it's just endless. Those are probably some of the places that stand out.
Is there anything that you like that's close to the border?
The U.S. border?
Yeah.
Do you really want to be down there waiting?
Like realistic driving distance. I know it. Well, you remember Phoenix. You ever go down to Rocky Point?
I didn't go to Rocky, but I did drive to Nogales. I did the Nogales thing once. Listen, I think if you're an American,
blown up. When I was in college, we just go down there for spring break and everything. But
we did have
quite a town.
It has. We did get pitched hard by some of our event guys, my friends, to have this conference in Cabo, and I just thought that's a little hard to get to. It could be people from all over the world, but Cabo, I guess, is becoming popular. I don't know. I think the North is generally not as appealing, not as safe. Maybe Rocky Point or Cabo is the exception. It's kind of north. So I don't know that there's that many places there. My advice to anyone who's an American is if you're concerned about something going down, get a Mexican residence permit. They're a little bit less flexible. I mean, if you're coming for a conference, you're not going to have a problem, especially if you have a return ticket. If you're just coming for 6 months and just hoping, hey, give me that 180-day visa, they're doing that a lot less these days. They're being a lot less friendly to just come on in and live as a tourist. I would have a residence permit. You don't need to have that much money in the bank, which is another reason I would have bank accounts, by the way, because they don't want to see your crypto portfolio. I would have an income, or I would have some cash in the bank. I would get that residence permit, and I would have that ability to walk or drive in and then go wherever I needed to go from there, whether that's in Mexico or somewhere else. Because again, look at what happened in Canada. Some people can't even get on a plane.
Yeah.
Right. It might be nice to.
That should just be a warning signal to everybody. I mean, that you've got to start paying attention to your surroundings, your freedoms, your liberties, and that even in the West, at any moment they can be taken away.
Especially in the West. I mean, I was in I think I told you 2 years ago, I left Myanmar at the last minute. I was there on a little trip, got back to Malaysia before everything closed down, rode out 6 weeks of toughness indoors, and with champagne and cheese plates and what have you. Ever since then, it's been so open. And I look at what people are dealing with in some of these places. I mean, we've helped so many Australians that can't even leave the country. And so, I mean, I'm going all over the world except the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. I've been to the UAE. You think, oh, they're pretty tough. Not really. I was in Asia. They've got more practices and more things they want you to do, but I can't say it was terrible. And by the way, in some of these places that aren't the US or Canada, there's always that guy who's like, oh, we kept our restaurant open for takeout, right? So I think that people don't really understand the difference between the Western countries and just how much you have seen change in the last 30 years, let alone the last 3 years in some of these non-Western countries. There really is no comparison.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
You won't believe it until you do it, George, and you're doing it. So
yeah, I always tell people that even if you don't want to make or you shouldn't make a commitment right away. Just travel, for heaven's sake. Your next vacation, just shoot down to Medellin or Bogota, or shoot down to Mexico City, or just put a list together. And for your next couple vacations, just go check those places out. You may hate them, but you may really, really like them, and it may open up your eyes to opportunities that you didn't realize exist.
And yeah, no matter what you and I tell somebody, I just never got the vibe of Bangkok. Even in the taxi from the station or the airport or whatever, however I got there so many years ago the first time, just felt bad. Doesn't mean Bangkok's a bad place for you. You need to go and check it out. And if you feel that sinking feeling in the taxi from the airport, then maybe that's not your place. But yeah, go and check out some of these places. Look at Central and Northern South America. Look at Eastern Europe. These are some of the places that you want to see, and realize that not only are there deals, not only does it operate differently, but not only can you be more free.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.